My name is Richard Ashmore from Altus Business Consulting, Altus Accounting Services. Can I ask, first of all, how many of you have actually already started your business? So I presume how many therefore are just thinking, considering, looking at options? Okay, interesting. It was very interesting to hear Joe's story. Well, because whilst the circumstances are specific to every individual, I hear the same story time and time again. Starting up your own business can be a bewildering time. You might be made redundant. That was certainly the case when I started my business. I'd been made redundant. You might be sitting there thinking, well, I can do what my boss does better than he does. That happens a great deal. You're probably really good at what you do. But suddenly, now you've not only got to be great at what you do, you've also got to be the salesman, the bookkeeper, the operations manager, the driver, you've got to be the cleaner, and everything else. So no longer have you just got one job, but you've got 20. That's when you start on the treadmill. We've already heard about juggling life and the business. You start on the treadmill, doing things that you're not used to doing things that perhaps are not your strengths. So suddenly you find yourself doing the bookkeeping at 11 o'clock at night after the kids have gone to bed. And that whole issue of people see perhaps starting own businesses, oh, I'm going to be able to have this wonderful life balance, work-life balance, because I'm going to be able to choose when I work. Absolutely. Accountancy is an area that most people snore, dull, boring, but it's so vital. Altus are a small accountancy practice based in Stourbridge. My personal background is that after some years in the accountancy profession, I moved out into industry, and I spent about 18 years out as a finance director, senior finance manager. So I've spent most of my working life on the other side of the fence, on your side of the fence. Then I was made redundant because the business I was UKFD for relocated to the southeast, and so therefore I was no longer required in the Midlands. So 7 years ago, I heard from somebody say 5 years ago, and 7 years ago, essentially, I was where you are. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? We work with all sizes of business, from startups all the way through, and we can help you with some of the questions and some of the issues. So, for example, do you trade as a limited company, a sole trader, or a partnership? What's the difference? How will it impact the way you work? How do you keep the right books and records? How much tax are you likely to pay? How do I deal with VAT? How on earth do I manage my cash flow? At the end of the day, lack of cash is the reason businesses fail. And so it's a vital area that many small businesses really don't take into account. Does the business that you've imagined and planned, does it actually make money? Will it ever make money? I meet a lot of business owners who go, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then you say, well, actually, when you take your sales and knock off all of your costs and take a living out of this, does this actually make sense? Have you got a business plan? Making those sorts of mistakes in the real world is very expensive and very painful. The key is to make those mistakes on paper before you get there. How do I deal with the banks? People are saying banks aren't lending, and it's tough out there at the moment. So how do I approach the bank for finance? I've been told I need to write a business plan, a cash flow forecast. How on earth do I do that? And then some basics. Do you understand how a profit and loss account and a balance sheet works? Do you understand the business that you are actually operating? Those are all the sorts of questions that we can help to answer. I see very much part of my role as an educational role, as a training role. You should come out after 12 months of working with me knowing much more than when you started. I'm not trying to keep everything to myself and keep it all a secret. No, you need to know. These are important parts of your business. So, how has your structure of your business been organised? How are you dealing with the bookkeeping? How are you dealing with the payroll? What about the VAT returns? What about tax? If I was to give you a couple of really, for me, key pieces of advice. First of all, we've heard about networking, talking to people, and networking is the way to grow your business, is the way to get support. My business has been entirely built on going out and talking to people. Get yourself along to events, get yourself along to seminars, find ways of getting yourself invited to as much free stuff as you possibly can. And the second thing is, it gets very lonely being a businessman on your own. There's nobody there to say, yes, you've done a good job, or no, you've done a bad job. You've got to do it all yourself, and it's all internal. So, for me, the important thing is to get yourself a friend. And I don't mean your spouse, or your partner, or maybe somebody you go to the pub with. I'm talking about a business friend, somebody you can share with, somebody you can get that support with, because it can be very lonely. So part of what we do, alongside the plain old accountancy services, year ends and tax returns and so on, is act as freelance finance directors. We act as your critical friend. Somebody who's going to come in that you can share with, that you can talk to, that you can bounce problems and ideas and issues off. Somebody who will understand your business but not actually be emotionally involved with the business. Somebody can help you to make those tough decisions when you need to make them. Part of really the core of what we do is about nurturing your business. That's what I get passionate about. I get passionate about your success, because at the end of the day, your success is going to be my success. And so therefore, I want to make sure that every single person who starts a business has the best possible chance to make that business a success. So I just want to leave you with really a good look. And if you need to talk to anyone, if you need to talk to me, then I've got a stand over there and I'm happy to talk to anyone, give them any advice. Our first session is always free of charge, so it won't cost you anything to come, sit down for an hour or two, tell me about your business, and let's see whether we can help you. Thank you.